good evening and welcome to Perspective, our dear esteemed viewers, and welcome to the flagship of programs on NTA Ijebu Perspective. You know how we do it on Perspective. We take issues that are very important to human existence. Today we'll be taking a review of the judicial sector in the outgone year. What are the challenges the judicial sector faced? Is it still considered to be the last hope of the masses? And what are the other problems that we face that hindered the dispensation of justice? And to do justice to this, I have Barrister Abdulganiy Sonny in the house. Barrister, you're welcome.
Good evening, viewers.
Like I said, can we still call our own judiciary system the last hope of the masses?
Well, the judiciary is still the last hope of the masses, although some still believe that this is not so. There was a kind of incident that happened in England. A judge entered a taxi and told the taxi driver to take him to court of justice. The taxi driver looked at the judge and said, "Court of justice? Okay." He drove the judge to the court. He said, "Well, I've taken you to court of law." He believes that there is no justice. So some still believe that there is no justice there. Why we still get justice? So it's still the hope of the common man.
So to say, there's this other saying that the law is an ass. Can you explain this to us?
The judge say the law is an ass, an unruly ass. What's an ass? A donkey.
A donkey.
That is stubborn, that wherever you push it is where you go. Let me give you a short scenario to know that the law is an ass. There is a case whereby a man planted apple in his compound. So the leaf of the apple dangles into the other man's compound. The law is that you cannot take his apple without his knowledge. So if you take it, that is stealing. But when the leaf falls in your compound, you sweep it, that is your problem. You can see that the law is an ass, truly.
So what are the challenges that hindered a dispensation of justice the outgone year?
The judiciary, like the other two arms of government, executive and legislature, has its own problem. We have lots, but I will just mention a few. One of the problems is the issue of corruption. We also have the issue of law enforcement apathy. We have low esteem of justice. We have conflict of interest. We have giving of conflicting court orders. And we have this issue of judicial independence and so on and so forth.
You mentioned giving conflicting judgments. This is one area that the judiciary is being held responsible for giving conflicting judgment in the same case. Some people think as an issue of corruption. What's your own opinion of this?
Well, it depends. One of the other problems of judiciary is the issue of computer, low input of computer. What does that mean? Let me come to the question you have asked. I want to fight the national chairman of my party, for example. I'm in Lagos. I rush to Federal High Court in Lagos that X and Y should be stopped from doing convention. Somebody else in Kano rushed to court that X and Y should be allowed to do convention. The court in Lagos is not aware of the suit in Kano. So based on the fact before the court, and most of these court order you see, they call them ex parte. Order you give without the other parties being noticed. Naturally it will happen. But if there is input, as we file a matter here, every other Federal High Court knows about that matter. Once it's going on here, they will not allow it in another place. So some of the problem of conflicting court order comes from the fact that there is no nexus among the federal courts in Nigeria. So if somebody rushes to my court and asks for an order, definitely if I read the facts and I'm convinced, I will give such an order. Why unknown to me that another order is being given in another court of coordinate jurisdiction? The problem lies in when I have known that there is an order of a court of similar jurisdiction that such A and B should not do such a thing. Then, if I'm aware or I have taken judicial notice in such a situation, giving such order is judicial rascality.
So how can we eradicate the judicial rascality? Like you said, lack of communication, lack of records or what? So
there are records. There are records, but just as I said, there is no nexus.
No networking.
Yeah, no networking. Somebody who is in Lagos has given a court the order. A and B should not go to such convention. The court in East is not aware. So if the person, another person goes to the court in the East and seek for same order, if it is given, you can't blame the judge. You can only blame the judge if such order, if he is aware of earlier order from same court or similar court of jurisdiction. So it can be eradicated if there is communication. It can be eradicated when justices are cautious in just rushing to giving orders. For such thing not to take place, the court can say, well, I want you to put the other parties on notice. Meaning what? Instead of ex parte, file motion on notice. If you file motion on notice, it will take days, 7 days. Within 7 days, the court can go and find out, okay, let's check the system. Is there any matter relating to this in any other court? We will have gotten the notice. And the other party who are on notice will say, no, my lord, you can't give such order. It's also court, such an order has been given. So it's
but like some people are of the opinion that most of these things are the fault of lawyers. You saw the lacuna and you exploited it.
Well, as lawyers, we are ministers in temple of justice, and we are expected to act within the ambit of the law. If a client comes to me and brings frivolous matter for me to go to court, it is my duty as a lawyer to decline and tell him that no, this is against my profession or the ethics of my profession. But some lawyers, because of the money they will get, they jettison that, collect the money and still go to court. So there is disciplinary measure too against lawyers. We have the disciplinary committee too, who can also discipline lawyers who rush to court to do such matters.
Long adjournments. They also blame lawyers for this.
Yes.
Exploiting all the loopholes to prolong so that you can do a case for 50 years, even 3 generations doing a case. How is this possible? And how can we...
The issue of doing a case for 50 years, I think, has been a thing of the past. In the...
No, like the case of judgment given in Lagos State. Magodo.
Magodo judgment is a peculiar case. When that matter started, the new system we use now, which is called front loading, it is not the system when the case started. We don't front load. What front loading means that whatever you want to say will be put into pen and paper. Or you come to court that I adopt what I've written here. So instead of you wasting years talking, in one day you can take 2, 3, 4 witnesses. Another issue with Magodo is that, you know, Supreme Court is, we have just one Supreme Court, and that is Supreme Court in Abuja. It is not easy for them to do speedy trial. It might take 5 years, 7 years.
A lot of dockets.
Yes, 7 years before your matter will be listed. So before judgment comes out, except if the matter is a very pressing one, like election issue, they are time bound. So when like in 2023 elections are coming, most of the matters they have, they will abandon them and face that of election. That is the number, because these are time bound, 90 days, 180 days, and so on and so forth.
Is this because we don't have enough judges?
Well, to some extent, I agree with you, because we don't have enough judges. It's one of the reasons why we have long adjournment. And it is not all cases that takes long adjournment. Some cases are time bound, like fundamental human rights enforcement. So order 4, rule 1, A and B says you have 7 days. It's not all matters like that. Even writ of summons, the lifespan is 6 months, which is a year. So it's not all matters that takes donkey years like that. It's not all matters.
Let's talk about one issue that caused a lot of Ulabalu last year. Autonomy for the judiciary. How far have we gone with this?
Well, it's one of the major problems facing the judiciary, the autonomy of the judiciary. The executive and the legislature, they have refused to give the judiciary its autonomy. There is a federal high court judgment which stipulates or rule that the judiciary should be autonomous, but up till now it has not been implemented. It's one of the problems we are facing. The executive and judiciary and the legislature must respect the judiciary. Since there is a law, which is our constitution, section 4, 5 and 6, has stipulated the function of each arm of government. But because of the fact that he who plays the piper dictates the tune, the executive implement the law, the legislature makes the law. So the legislature makes the law that favors them, the executive implements the law that favors them. So at the end of the day, the two arms of government, executive and legislature, dominate the judiciary, which is supposed not to be. In advanced country, it doesn't work that way. There is autonomy for the judiciary.
So what can we do to make sure that the judiciary is autonomous?
Well,
at least now I think the executive and the legislature, they are just exploiting the judiciary.
It is systemic
to
failure.
Their own system. It's systemic failure. Okay.
It is systemic failure. You see, people will be asking for restructuring. It's part of the things we need to restructure. If the judiciary is independent, if there is issue between the executive and judiciary, you will be rest assured that it will be dealt with properly by the judiciary. And what do you mean by autonomy? The funding, the tenure of office, appointment of judges, let it be independent, so that the judiciary can stand on their own and give decision, give verdict without looking at whose or is God. So these are the ways. So we need to restructure the whole system so that the autonomy will come from the constitution and it must be implemented by the judiciary. It's a matter of you respecting the constitution. The judiciary don't respect the executive don't respect our constitution. They pick what favors them and throw out the rest. That is what is happening. Look at the issue I've just said now. The Federal High Court gave an order that the judiciary should be independent. Juzu went on strike for 5 good months or 3 months. What comes out of it? See the same thing. They believe that if the judges are independent, they won't be able to control the system.
So they want to control the system to their
They
own.
want to control the system. They want to control it.
Can we say this is the raid on Justice Odile's house? Can we say is an example of this not having the power to do what you want to do, and someone having more power to deal with you whenever he or she wants to deal with you?
What happened to my Lord Justice Odile is a very pathetic incident for a magistrate court to give an order that the house or residence of a Supreme Court judge should be searched, should be ransacked, should be searched. It is slap on our system. It's like you telling a councillor that a councillor gives an order that you should go to the house of the president and search it. Who would do that? Nobody can do that.
Systemic failure.
The president is in our state now. Everywhere is blocked from 6 to 6. You can't go out because of him. If a chief justice is coming, would that be done? No. See, the power that the executive has amassed for itself is overwhelming. To talk of the security network, talk of the finance, talk of the control of the whole country is too much. These are the problems we are facing. So for the judiciary to be saved, independence is very paramount, and everybody must put hands on deck to make sure that the judiciary is independent.
Let's leave that one. Let's talk about the strike. You mentioned the strike. It affected dispensation of justice last year, and I know that it also affected the legal profession. How did it affect you?
We are all human beings. When you don't go to work, you don't make money. Although there are other ways lawyers make money, but the place where we practice our trade is in the court. It affected our income. in the sense that clients in most cases will pay you when a date is given for your matter. Alaji, your matter is coming up on the 13th of February. Okay, so kindly send our I will send our bills to you. Kindly make sure you pay some amount of money. He knows his matter is coming up. But Alaji, there is court is on strike. Please, I need part of the money. You ask him for what? What do you need the money for? Court no open. What did you? That is it. These are the ways it affected us. You have a document you need to hold. You can't go to the court.
So let's talk about dispensation of justice holistically. Last year, how was it?
There are a lot of things that affected dispensation of justice last year. The issue of the judicial strike, the issue of even the lockdown. But notwithstanding, some judgments were given, landmark judgments were given in Nigeria. Some courts still open. Some courts have, ventured into the system of, what do you call it, visual hearing. Yeah. So it's an advancement. So by and large, I can say 50-50. Because of the lockdown and the corona and the new system, though it boils down on the issue of technology. A defendant or a claimant who doesn't have smartphone or who doesn't have network, how can he go into virtual hearing or sitting? He can't. So by and large, I can say 50-50.
Like let's talk about technology now. I know that in foreign courts, they don't use long hands anymore. They've introduced maybe computers. Won't this one enhance our own justice dispensation?
Well, no matter how court uses computer, long hand still operates, but to a certain extent. For example, the court has procedure or process, or let me say procedure. You announce your appearance. The court must write who appear, who doesn't appear, who is present, who is absent. Court wants to give a short ruling, court will write. Every ruling of court must be written down before it is being read out. That is the law. But it might not be the whole trial. In Lagos State is trying. What you have just said, Lagos State is doing it. There's somebody who type, as the judge is talking, or the client or the litigants are talking, everything is going through the system. So we believe one day Ogun State will get there.
Let's look into the future. 2022. How is our justice dispensation? How can we better our justice dispensation?
Number one, I will start from the judges themselves. Judges must try and enhance their knowledge. This profession is profession of reading. You must read, you must go for conferences, you must be abreast of new laws. Some justices will tell you, this is my call, this is what I want to do. And they will do wrong thing until you go on appeal. So individual justice or judges must make sure that you don't rest on what you have known previous years. As Supreme Court gives judgment, judges of lower courts should read and see the reasoning of Supreme Court. Okay, so this is how there are a lot of, if you read the law report, Supreme Court at times do lambast judges of lower court that they heard the law. They will give them the reason. So a judge who reads that, wow, okay. When next he wants to handle such a case, he will be more careful and toe the line of the Supreme Court or Court of Appeal. So that is one. Two, the issue of enforcement of judgment. Somebody who wins a land matter, he has the judgment with him, but yet the land grabber is still on his land. After going through the gamut of trial, spending money, spending years, you still cannot reap the fruit of the judgment. It is wrong. Why? The police will say, for us to enforce the judgment, you must pay us. The issue of Magodo you mentioned earlier on, it is the issue of money has changed hand. Though they had the judgment, if they don't have the money to enforce, police will never force them, will never come to Lagos State, all the way from Abuja. Police will not bring bulldozer. You could imagine that even the governor went there. They said, Augusta, take your phone and call the IG. Why are they saying that? Because there is money. You can imagine the police officer, they say, okay, come and enforce the judgment, nothing. Even when governor say that, governor say, take this money, leave. Won't they leave? They will. These are some of the issues. The flouting of court orders. Executives should obey court orders. There will be a day that they too will need that court order. Let me give you the case of one former EFCC chairman, anytime there is a court order, he picks whichever he likes and he throws the rest. He will not obey. When he was, sagged and he was kept in detention, his lawyer too said he wanted to see him. They did not allow. He went to court. Court gave the order. They too said we will not obey this order because when you are EFCC chairman, same thing you did to people. So wherever we are, we should think of the day we come down the ladder that we will need the help of others.
Let's close this thing. But I want you to advise the masses, the downtrodden, because this day we see court as only for the wealthy. Like you said, because they came to Lagos because money has changed hands. To get justice in some courts now, money must change hands.
Money has changed hands. It's not in the sense of corruption, no. For enforcement, I'm a lawyer. For you to enforce a court order, you must pay the police. You mobilize them. Those who are in Lagos, they will get for this. They will eat. They will travel. They will need to keep themselves, healthy. They will need certain things. So you must pay for the enforcement. So whoever is coming to court, especially on civil issues, you must be ready to foot the bill. It is natural. You can't say, I'm sick, I'm going to the doctor, I'm going to the hospital, I don't have money. Doctors will not attend to you. So to a large extent, litigation is very expensive. Especially if you want good and quality lawyers who will do a good job for you. You must be ready to pay for it. But they must follow the due process, even while you pay.
So
your
now
money.
that the masses cannot pay for justice, how do they get justice?
Well, we have the Office of Public Defenders. There are some agency of government that assist people who are downtrodden. We have the Legal Aid Council. For those people who couldn't afford, they can give them what they call pro bono. And you can have aspiring SAN, Senior Advocates of Nigeria. There are certain cases they must do pro bono. You can go to them that I don't have money. And there is what we call arrangement. Okay, I don't have money, but I have land. If I win this case, I have 5 plots of land. I will give you 1 plot. I will give you 2 plots. It's still part of it. So when you win the case, he sells the land and he gets back his money.
Our time flies when you are discussing important issues. My barrister, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition on perspective. Next week is another date. Let's meet next week, where we will take a look at another important issue. For me, it's Afolabi Lawal.
I'm AG Sonny. Thank you.
So good night.